I am the chosen one.
The AP has just broken some new news. This has just come out from the Associated Press. This is incredible. Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children. Oh, hold on. To at least 3. Can we put up the graphic of this? Thank you. Do we have it? No. 3 tender age shelters in South Texas. Lawyers and medical providers. Just, I think I'm going to have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Now it is time for The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell, where he is live in Brownsville, Texas.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. Today is the sign of the full moon, as it is by Jupiter, who we've already been talking to you guys about being the last days Moses, a man like Moses. According to John's Revelation chapter 12. Tomorrow morning is the moon as it starts to go down. It's with Saturn. Saturn has been identified as the judge. I wear this cap to go running. Interestingly, it's China that was making all of these. All the ties, the baseball caps, the t-shirts, all the merchandise for America's signs in the heavens were made in China. Not made in America. They were made in China. China knew about our signs in the heavens, not America. I'll flip it around when I go running. Let's do it now. Can't wear it the right way. Baseball coaches in Little League told us not to wear them like this. That we were properly to wear them the other way around. Because this was a sign of rebellion back in my day. And so China knew. In Revelation chapter 12, oops, I'm doing Old Testament for. All right. The dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And then further on down, the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away with the flood. No mention of the child in that one. more persecution of a woman, which brought forth a child. But if you remember Herod, the story about Herod, he orders the death of babies when the sign of the Christ appears. Moses, likewise, Pharaoh, murders babies when it is learned that Moses had been born, the Christ, the man like Moses. And so what happens under the Trump administration when the sign of the man like Moses appears on the 23rd of September 2017? The Herod of the United States of America orders babies to be separated from their families at the southern border, locked in cages, and they are murdered. Also, laws about abortion, to ban abortion, also emerged so that the rapists can get away with their rape. As BYU gets to participate in that atrocity, as they were forced to make changes to not punish the raped victim, having her excommunicated from the church, removed from BYU for her sinful whorishness of being raped. Such abuse. And so yes, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as I've been going over, is also Herod. Herod was the religious leader and the government leader, even though he was tributary of the Kaiser, the Caesar. And so, yes, these leaders know about the prophecy because of their hatred of Jews. It comes from the Jews. The Jews are not looking for the Christian Jesus, because the Christian Jesus did not fulfill prophecy. The Jews are waiting for a man like Moses. And so Joseph Smith says, a man like Moses will redeem Zion, in section 103, verse 16. This is what I've been going over. This is what I've been warning. This is why I've been trying to reveal as much of the prophecies so that you guys can find out for yourselves. And you're supposed to be looking for this person. Instead, Mormons are waiting for President Nelson now. Now that Monson has died, according to the prophecies, this sign, do you recognize the date, Mormons? What did Monson celebrate on that day? His birthday. And when he died, tail sign from the dragon, the tail of the dragon, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. That night the quadrantid meteor showers, which are the third most prominent meteor showers of the year, fell as he was dead. And what does falling stars represent? Lucifer, from Isaiah. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer. Day star, not son of the morning, day star. Because Revelations talks about a morning star, and that's the Star of David, not the star of Lucifer. So what does the church have on their keystone of the Salt Lake Temple? The Star of Lucifer. Not the Jewish star. They had to eventually buy out the Jewish synagogue there on Temple Square. That's not it is the church's property now, but it was not the church's from the beginning. That was the Jews. See what they did to the Jews here in Utah? And so, yes, the Mormon prophets know of the prophecy. They know. That's why they've been deceiving us. Benson, when he came out for the first time in his April 1986 conference, talks to the youth of the noble birthright. He knew that one of those years, the prophesied Messiah that Joseph Smith had talked about, saying he will come from the Mormon church. They know the prophecies. They just pretend that he doesn't exist to the Mormons. But Benson knew, because he specifically talked to the age group of those who were now Aaronic priesthood holders, among whom would be that prophesied man of Joseph Smith. And they were on the alert to attack him when identified. And yet at the same time, it's like, would the prophecies really come true? Is there really a God as we worship Lucifer? And so yes, but they can't acknowledge outwardly that that's who they're trying to murder, because they would look crazy. I mean, we already have psychiatrists creating a syndrome for those who think they're a Messiah. It's a Messiah complex. And so Brian David Mitchell, when he was caught having kidnapped Elizabeth Smart, and raping her, and holding her hostage, claiming to be the Messiah, they locked him up indefinitely in the Salt Lake Hospital in Provo, which is a psych ward. It's not a hospital. It's the asylum. But Mr. Smart had powerful friends, Orrin Hatch being one of them, and so they made sure that he does not get to live a comfy life in an asylum. They don't know what it's like there. It's a torture chamber. But no, they had him magically cured of his mental illness. Oh, isn't that amazing? He's all cured. He was going to be there indefinitely. But when the federal government stepped in, oh, he's magically cured now. And so, yeah, now he's serving time in prison. Wanda Barzee was a very kind woman, despite her mental failings in the belief system, that it was okay to kidnap 14-year-old girls and rape them. But that's how people who know these horrible, awful human beings, as they say, oh, he's a good man. He was always good to me. Yeah, to you, not to those whom he tortured, abused, etc. He's perfectly fine around family and friends. And so, the only ones not looking for the Christ are Mormons. The one group of people that are supposed to be looking for him, and they're not. So, alrighty. Tomorrow is Monday. Again, we go on alert to find out if Judge Oberg will finally render an order against the church, or render an order at all. In the story of Moses confronts Pharaoh. So he's confronting the government. Pharaoh refuses to let Moses be the successor to the throne. And it takes the coronavirus to kill the succession of the church. And Pharaoh finally consents and says, I have no successor. The dynasty is over. You may be the successor and restore the kingdom of David. And you're going, that's not the story I remember. Because the author didn't quite understand what was going on. He was writing it as a prophecy rather than as a history. And so the Jews, thinking that the Torah is history, don't quite catch on that the Torah is actually prophecy, like the prophets, like Jeremiah 23, that says a man like Moses will save the Jews, restore the kingdom of David. Which means that the whole story of Moses is a prophecy. All of the writings of Moses, even the one from the book of Jasher about the coal incident, are prophecies. And so the Jews miss it because they believe the Torah is history. Christians believe the Gospels are history, and therefore they don't recognize that the Gospels are prophecy. Mormons think Joseph Smith's history is history, and so they don't recognize that Joseph Smith history is prophecy. The Book of Mormon, for Mormons, they believe it's history, so they don't recognize that it's prophecy of all the same guy. All the scriptures are prophecies. The stories are prophecies. They change the names to correspond with the characters in the story, rather than outright saying, hey, in the future there's going to be this guy, this is going to be his real name, and this is where he's going to be born, this is when he's going to be born, this is what he's going to do as a child, this is what he's going to do when he gets married, and all this. And no, they don't do it that way. They tell it in story form. And as a result, people miss what the meaning of prophecy is, because you have to make it click in your mind and connect it. So, got to go running now. I don't know if it's worth my time. I witnessed yesterday as newer videos were allowed to commence, but I noticed that YouTube now, as I'm complaining over and over again about their hatred towards me, that they're not allowing my videos to be an outbreak video. As I've noticed, some outbreak videos are getting shut down after they're recognized as an outbreak. So they're silencing and censoring my videos when they too recognize a video as an outbreak. Because I used to get thousands of views on my old channel with an outbreak video. And now it required the earthquake for an outbreak video of over 100. That's how bad YouTube is treating me now. So, those of you who do get to watch this, you are among the lucky few. Travis Wayne Goodsoe. Part 2, back from my run. As I was walking into the door, I saw a black bee. That caught me by surprise. I first thought it was a beetle, but it had wings and was shaped like a bee. And I checked to see if it was for real, if my eyes were deceiving me, or if this was some kind of an anomaly. No. Black bees are called carpenter bees. Wow. Wow. So yeah, wow. That was a new knowledge for me. A black bee. I'll try to put the picture in here right before this video edition. Another thing I saw during my run was Venus rising, just in time to witness his failure to become King Amun-El. If you don't recognize the pronunciation, you might recognize it by Emmanuel. Yes, King Amun-El has been called and is being chosen. And so Venus, it's a little late to be rising. It's time for fulfillment. As the full moon, as Amun-El as the Sun King at high noon. And so it's too late to start to rise from the east. It's time for Omega in the west. Another thing I witnessed is President Lee Hall, the stake president over our area, has taken down the sign at the stake center. He's fully operating the church now. The last 2 days, testing has been 10,000. Why haven't we been testing at 10,000 when we first received the testing kits, Herbert? Oh, you didn't want to stay in the orange. You wanted to go back to green as you are now. Reports came out last week nationally that Utah was short on supplies. Did we get new supplies at the last minute there after we went national that we didn't have enough? As West Valley City and 2 other locations had to close their testing because they didn't have enough supplies? Or did they pool their supplies together to give to the state, and then the state did 10,000? What's going on? We're still in high numbers of cases, despite the high testing. We're still testing at a percentage higher than we were in the beginning. In the beginning, the percentage was an average of 2% per day, as Herbert was purposely manipulating the numbers to keep it that low. But once it broke out that Herbert was no longer able to manipulate the numbers, we're up in the 8% to upwards of almost 20% during high peak days. It's out of control here in Utah. And yet the church opens too. Herbert allows the state to go green so that the church can open and expose members of the church, just like Herbert is exposing Utahns. And so now President Hall is following the church, who is following Herbert, who was most likely ordered by the church, but all are rejecting the health officials. I'm going to put the picture at the end. So those of you who are watching to this point, which are a relatively few, I will provide a picture of my favorite medical doctors from TV. Apparently, I realized as I was watching Rizzoli and Isles last night that I sort of have a thing for medical doctors. So I'll show you the collection of the ones that I could come up with last night at the end of this video. The black bee picture that I got from searching for it, I'll put that probably as a thumbnail. We'll see. Herods are purposely out to look for and destroy the prophesied one. As President Trump has declared himself as the chosen one, as Nelson claims that he is in the seat of the office of Moses, and both are trying to claim they are the one, and yet neither are the one. They're both the false Christ. And that's why they know that their position is in trouble and have been purposely destroying everything in the hopes of destroying this prophesied one, as they apparently don't know who he is yet. Because if they did, there would be an all-out attack to destroy him. At least I would assume. It would be dumb to think that they were in such high power that no one dares to molest or make afraid. That's the one big mistake in all of the movies and TV shows, is that the bad guy hesitates because they think they're in the position of power and strength over the protagonist hero of the story. And so they hesitate, and they mock, and they go, "Oh yeah, I got you now. I've planned this all from the beginning," and they reveal their whole master plan so that when they do get caught at the end, they get locked away forever because they expose their whole operation, confessing their guilt. Dumb. And so when I can't remember which movie it was, where if you're going to pull a gun on somebody, don't hesitate. And the guy that's with them, who said that to the one guy, then the one guy then says it to the bad guys. The person who said it to the one guy looks at him and goes, "What the hell are you doing? They're gonna..." I wish I knew what movie that was when I saw that, but I mean, that's how evil loses time and time again, is they hesitate and they allow the good to rise up and win. So, I mean, another thing that I was thinking of during my run is that not only was Herod trying to kill babies, but Mary was without a husband. And so what then do our current GOP, even Utah GOP, that have the stars inverted for Lucifer on their elephant sign, what are they against? They're against single mothers. even though they're also against abortions, they punish women for being single mothers as well. And so they're trying to turn women as the women of the Roman period, trying to turn them into temple prostitutes. That's what women had to do back then, because they were not allowed to own a business. They were not allowed property. They were property. And so if a man died, her husband died, or divorced her, she was literally out of luck, unless she had a brother who could take care of her if the parents were already dead. But if she had nobody to take care of her, she had no choice but to go work in the temples and thus become a prostitute in order to have a life. And that was the life of women back in those days, and that's what they're trying to do to women today, is punish women financially, punish women with guilt and blame for being raped, for being abandoned, for being divorced. And it's a horrible thing that we're doing to women. So I think that covers all of the extra stuff that I figured from my run. Is that Lee Hall is choosing to follow the church rather than medical doctors. And President Nelson is a medical doctor, and he's actually causing harm rather than doing no harm. As Moses told the house of Israel, stay home until the coronavirus passes over. That's what the doctors were telling us before it became a pandemic. They were saying, hey, this is escalating, we're concerned, we need everybody to stay home until we can get this under control. Leaders said, nope, we're not going to listen to you. We don't believe you. It's a hoax. And so now, your family and your friends and other loved ones are dead. Well done. Like I said, it's too late for Venus to rise. It's time for King Amenel now. He has been chosen. Although we're still waiting for the specific chosen order from the judge. But both sides are anticipating any day now. Any day. The sign is on Monday, but any day. The full moon is the first full moon after the annular solar eclipse that occurred on Father's Day. So that is significant, as it corresponds with the sign on Father's Day. So here's hoping.